Um, I actually put together a smaller packet. I struggled with it because it was hard. It was trauma-inducing to write my story out. I'm a little nervous for some reason. But my printer ran out of ink, so I'll mail you a packet with printed because they're illustrated. Because I've been saying these same things for 20 years, so pulling the same rabbit out of the same hat, this time I just know it's going to work. So.
We'll make sure everybody in the task force gets a copy of it. So
Okay, thank you. Okay, so start?
Go for it.
Okay. So my name's Amy Smith. I have been a service user of the Colorado Public Mental Health System for almost 50 years. I walked to Bethesda as a child, so put that in context. So I've seen a lot. I'm a family member of a young child that kind of grew up in residential treatment. I have been a policymaker in Colorado for almost 25 years when managed care first hit the scene, and sitting at policy tables and representing the point of view of the person receiving services. And I also participated in national policy work. At one time, I represented the United States at a global planning in South Africa. So you're never a hero in your own hometown. And I was gonna, kind of tell my story. My treatment protocols did not work well for me. But what I'm gonna do, because, is that not running? I was gonna kind of.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
I'm watching the clock. I'll give
Thank
you
you.
the sign when you're.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have 3 agenda items that I'm pushing that relate to my personal story. And the first one is that it turned out that I am a poor metabolizer on the CYP 2D6 pathway. And in January of 2018, nearly every psych drug, except for the ones that began as anti-seizure drugs like Neurontin and esketamine, so I'll be looking for that on the formulary soon, are, if you have a polymorphism problem with that pathway, every other psych drug was labeled with a boxed dosage warning, and the FDA doesn't use word black anymore, so that's a high-level warning. No one, went on the label, on the insert in 2018, January, no one tests for it except MHCD. And it pretty much ruined my life because, unfortunately, adverse effects of psych drug toxicity look and feel exactly the same as serious mental health, so my dosing over the years went up, up, up instead of down, 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 off. And I would have made it 30 seconds on the street today. I was disheveled, violent to strangers, soaked in urine, just hallucinating all the time in ways that made me, react. So I was a high user. I cost the state just a boatload of money. I lost custody of my son. I never was able to get married. I didn't get to finish school, because I was dealing with this load of drugs that was inappropriate. I am not bitter about that. This was not in the trenches or on the ground when I went into treatment, but by golly, it shouldn't happen anymore. There is a boxed warning on these labels, and the test is fully reimbursable. It's available everywhere. And actually the testing facilities in Colorado will also interpret for you. So it's bad medicine not to test prior to prescribing. And then I would also ask that physical issues are looked at first, thyroid problems, allergies, also adverse effects of some medications can create feelings and behaviors and states in you that look and feel exactly like mental health issues. And I'll tell you, there are human and civil rights associated issues associated with behavioral health care treatment. The labels, no matter what everybody says about anti-stigma, the labels are stigmatizing. You can lose your kids in a custody battle. You cannot be able to rent a house. You cannot be able to get a job. These are serious issues. So before we set people on that path, let's check first and be good medical providers, So that's the first thing. The second thing is reimbursable autonomous peer service delivery, which is something that Colorado has been fighting tooth and nail. We were the first state in the whole nation to employ peers in the service delivery system with RATC back in the 70s, and some things went haywire there. We pretty much have got the same folks sitting at the head of the table that were there then, you know, and I have heard high-level Colorado people say, we'll have peer-run services in Colorado over my dead body, you know, and these are the payers talking. So that's discrimination against a class of protected people with discriminations, as far as I'm concerned, or with disabilities. And there's a whole continuum of care that is evidence-based, best practices, fantastic outcomes, much, much better outcomes than allopathic psychiatry, and serves people like me. Because you know what my choices are now that I can't use psych drugs? Shock and surgery. You know, I'm sorry, I decline. You know, I don't want that. So I'm going to write a policy paper about peer service delivery because it's just, we're so behind the ball now. It's just, there's so much, and it could address rural and frontier workforce issues. It could address the abysmal unemployment rate of people with behavioral health disabilities, which drives the PWD unemployment rate in Colorado up to as high, CDLE says, as 80%, next to 3.9 or 2.9 for the rest of Colorado. And it would be sustainable, livable wage employment, not part-time, you know, don't mess up your benefits employment. And the reason for the autonomy is because peer services have a flattened hierarchy. They have got a hook to hang your hope hat on, because I'll tell you, I've watched a lot of the testimony from this group, and I know, time.
1 minute. Yeah.
Okay, that, you know, angry millennial kid that is in his parents' basement, and his parents are like, oh God, we need more beds, I don't know what to do with them, you know, those calls for more beds are not coming from service users. And I would challenge anybody that's asking for more beds, we did that. It's only a few steps up from the Life magazine model, you know, really. It's custodial, it's not therapeutically beneficial, and has poor outcomes. So these peer services could really go a long way into crisis intervention, hospital diversion, and alternatives. And that millennial kid that's angry and he gets, you know, civilly committed into treatment, and then he goes to a step-down facility where there's, you know, young MSW students with a clipboard counting how many juice boxes they use. That's not going to set somebody's foot on the path of recovery. But if the people that are running the place were just like him 10 years ago, that's a different deal, you know. So that hope, that recovery lens, that we don't see each other as diseased, ill people, you know, we have hope. So, and I have a lot more, but I'm out of time. So.
Thank you. I know you've got a lot of friends in the room who also support peer services.
Oh,
so,
good.
yes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So.
Okay, and then here's my package, which I'll mail you. But I was an artist when I was young. I was a genius. I could write with both hands, and this hand would write in perfect mirror. And I lost all of that, but my trauma therapist, which is another thing, the substance use providers brought that rule about having to have a prescriber in the office. Oh my God. You know, we had fabulous protocols with great outcomes before that rule. We lost that whole industry. So just really demonstrates Colorado's, the pharmacy industry's got us, you know. So there's a lot to offer folks besides just pills. So, thank you.
You've made a
Thank
great
you.
contribution to the task force, so thank
Oh,
you for coming.
thank you. Well, I plan on being Zoom all the time.
Yeah, we look forward to
I
seeing
love
your
that.
packet.
Thank you. And it'll have citations and resources and other states' protocols, how they've done it, you know, and I'm hooked in with that community, so I
I
can
look
get all
forward to
that.
reading it personally, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Am I free to go now, or?
You are free.
Yes. Do I need to call security downstairs?
You're all good.
That was the last person who was scheduled to testify today. I just want to check in online and make sure that nobody else has joined online that would like to testify. If so, please unmute yourself, either through your computer or by hitting *6 on your phone.